So 1963 is probably one of the most iconic Corvette years. Always so easy to tell. Two very quick ways. Split window, you can always look at the hood where it's got the fake grills on it. Move to 1964, the grills are gone, but it's the same hood. You move to 1965, we've got a completely new hood. We can walk back here. 1965, the first year a big block was available. Also the same year you could get a big block or fuel injection. 65 only, 65, 396. By 1966, you switch over to the 427. Probably one of the most iconic color combinations, I think, within Corvette. Blue, white, roadster. My father would tell you that this is one of his most absolute favorite Corvettes that is out there today. You can always look at vintage Corvettes and get an idea if the window sticker is on them. All window stickers with C3s were going to be placed right here, so you can quickly go through, identify what was there, from engine size, fuel, etc. So as we move down, chrome bumpers. Always easy to tell a 68 to a 72 because you're dealing with bumpers that are chrome. By the time you get to 73, not so much the case. 1968, 1969, you could order an L88 or an L89. So for a trivia question, a great one would be, what is the difference between the two? Probably one of the most iconic Corvettes from 1967 to 1969. 216 of them were made. Corvette L88s, but definitely one of my favorite. And when you get to a black, it's probably, my father would say the Marina blue white is iconic. To me, this is one of the most iconic combinations. Most people like to have their cars looking absolutely perfect. To me, I think it's fantastic to have a Survivor. You can look at this paint and just tell that it's all original. For someone like myself who's been in this hobby since I was just a little boy, you can quickly look at this and just look at the texture of the paint. They all kind of have the same look and the feel, from an original paint. Whereas you look at this L88, it's almost better than when it left the factory because our technology today is so much better. The lacquer paint from the late 60s, early 70s is so different than what we have today. And as you move along, we're moving out of the 427 big block era into the 454, which would be the last big blocks available within General Motors and Corvette. Of course, you get to the C6 where you've got the 427, but it's a small block, not a big block. As we move along, you can always look at the 427 and 454. A lot of similarities. Easiest way to tell, always look at the nose. It's going to tell you 427 or 454. Easy dead giveaway. When you get into C1 Corvettes are super easy to tell apart. 1953 to 1955. They're going to be single headlights with grills. Now, a 53 and a 54 are going to look damn near identical. 55, you can always look at the script and you can look for the Gold V, meaning the first year of the V8. Yes, there's a couple V6s produced, the very first 5 or 6 cars, I think, but predominantly 55s, all V8s. 1956, 1957, very identifiable because you go to the single headlight. 1957, fun fact, 283 V8. This is the first car in the history to produce as many horsepower as it was cubic inches. Quite literally the fastest car in the world in 1957. 1958, another very easily identifiable Corvette. You can always tell a 58 Corvette because you've got trunk irons. You have a 1-year only hood. This car was the heaviest chromed Corvette in the history of Corvette, just chrome everywhere on these cars. We talked earlier, in 1957, to get 283 horsepower out of a 283 cubic inch car, you had to move to fuel injection. It's, a lot of guys switched out the fuel injection to go to carburetors, but today a fuel injected 57 is one of the best. My personal most favorite Corvettes ever is a 1957 airbox car. And as we move to the later C1 generations, you can always tell because they are double headlight. So 58, you've got a double headlight, you've got all the chrome, the rippled hood, but from 59 to 62, you've got the double headlights. You've got a little bit of that C2 look when you get into the trunk area, so that's always a great way to tell the later cars from the earlier cars. 1955 Harvest Gold, it's an extremely rare color, and like I mentioned, you can always tell a 55 from a 53 or 54 because of the Golden V. And then of course the C7 ZR1, the last year of production on the C7, the last front engine car. So it's always fun to see those, especially when you find one with a manual transmission.